So thank you all for coming this evening. I'm just doing a very short introduction because I really want to get to Kasia's information that she's going to share. But I do want to welcome you. I do want to explain that this evening we're doing writing, independent writing, based on Kasia's prompts. So we can look forward to that. I don't think you're going to have a share, Kasia. We probably don't have enough time. Or were you planning to have volunteers?
Oh, to share? I guess
Yeah.
we can sort of see at the end if there's
Okay.
if there's some extra time.
But don't feel pressure to share. Just learn what you need to learn and grow in the ways you need to grow. We're just glad you're here and participating with us. And I think with that, oh, I wanted to remind everybody our next reading will be November 20th, and I'll remind everybody again at the very end with Jake Skeets. So I will be sending information out about that morning. And Jasmine, I see you're on a train. I'm so jealous. But okay, I'm going to turn things over to Austin and take it away.
Thanks. And I'm just gonna introduce everything really quick and then hand it over to Kasha. Hey, so welcome. This creative session is brought to you by the Santa Fe Community College Library and Creative Writing Program. We're thrilled to have you join us tonight for this special writing event, and we hope you will come back to celebrate the power of words and storytelling at our future events. Tonight's gathering is an invitation to those who have passion for the written word. If you've ever dreamed of becoming a writer, whether you'd like to craft compelling fiction, pen evocative poetry, or explore the world of nonfiction, SFCC is awaiting your arrival. In our program, students can earn a certificate or an associate's degree in English language creative writing. The Santa Fe Community College Creative Writing Program nurtures aspiring writers, providing them with the tools, guidance, and inspiration to take their creative endeavors to new heights. We believe that writing is not only a useful and practical skill, but an art form that has the potential to transform lives and connect people across time and space. SFCC's creative writing program is focused on your development as a writer, a reader, and a member of a creative community. Our faculty are published authors and professional editors, and our course offerings include a multi-genre workshop and an internship with the Santa Fe Literary Review, SFCC's in-print literary journal. Related degree and certificate requirements include opportunities to internship with local magazines, including Southwest Contemporary, newspapers, and publishing houses to explore the world of book arts and hone screenwriting skills. Students work closely with professors and peers to develop, revise, and publish creative and academic writing in a range of genres and formats. Upon completion, you'll have gained the skills and experience to submit a manuscript for publication, pursue a career in editing, or continue your studies in creative writing. You can also now complete the entire program online, so you can do it from anywhere. Please see the chat for links to our program website where you can see about our course offerings for spring 2025, explore the program requirements, find information about the Santa Fe Literary Review, and the Kate Besser Awards, which are SFCC's very own writing awards. For those of you considering your own creative writing journey, we encourage you to ask any questions you have about the program. Whether you're an experienced writer looking to take a single course or a complete novice ready to explore your creative potential, we have classes and resources for you. In Santa Fe Community College's creative writing program, we believe that everyone has a story and every story is worth sharing. Tell us yours. And really quickly, just to rep again, the new issue just came out of the Santa Fe Literary
Ooh,
Review. If you're
I
in,
like the cover.
thank you, isn't it beautiful?
Yeah.
If you're in Santa Fe, you can go to the Santa Fe Public Library or Santa Fe Community College campus and find stacks of them everywhere. Please grab some. And our submission deadline is in 2 days, November 1st. So if you have something to send us, please do. Now
Maybe
I'm
we'll
just,
come up with something today.
please do. Yes, exactly, exactly. And if you do send me something you wrote here, tell me that because I'm the fiction writer. So I would love to know. Kasia Merrill is a fiction writer based in Maryland. She holds a BFA from Pratt Institute and an MFA from the Institute of American Indian Arts. Her work has appeared in Fiction International, Quarter After Eight, Breadcrumbs Mag, the Ekphrasis Review, Salamander Magazine, and the Appalachian Review, and her stories have been finalists for the GRITLit Cutbank, New Millennium Writings, and Salamander Magazine fiction competitions. She has received support from the Peter Bullough Foundation, Disquiet International, and the Kenyon Writers Workshop, for which she was a Peter Taylor Fellow. She is currently at work on her first novel, and we are so delighted to have her back again tonight.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so glad to be here. So kind of based on the conversation and story I shared last week, I thought today we could kind of focus on speculative fiction, which I sort of started describing last week, but this week I kind of wanted to get a little bit more into it. So speculative fiction, just as like a broad definition, is fiction that takes place in realism, but has some supernatural elements to it. One of my favorite descriptions of speculative fiction was from our mentor, Marie Helene Bertino, where she was saying that if there is a scale of like reality is one, and that's like really realist fiction, and then 10 is fantasy, and that's like Lord of the Rings, speculative fiction's in that really fun area of 2 to 9. So it's like you kind of get to play between those and make your own rules as you go, which is, I think, what I really love about it. Um, so I have a couple generative exercises today to write kind of in speculative fiction. Before we move into that, I wanted to just sort of do like a quick little breathing meditative exercise. Another little bit, I have a yoga teacher certification, so I kind of like to do this sometimes before I start writing. So I know it's a little hard for you, Jasmine, since you're on the train. But I'd just like everybody to put your feet flat on the floor. Let your hands relax naturally on the top of your thighs. Deep inhale through the nose. Let your shoulders roll back and breathe out through the mouth. Take a moment to just think about where you are in the room, where you are in your neighborhood or city, where you are in the state, where you are in the world. Just slowly breathe in through the nose, exhale out through the mouth. Take a moment to notice any concerns or worries or parts of your day you brought with you today, and gently imagine walking them to the door or to the window and just putting them to the side. They'll be waiting for you when you're done with your writing practice. Right now, we're just dedicating our time to writing. Take a few slow, deep breaths, noticing the support of the ground or the seat beneath you. Just coming to be very present. And then when you're ready, you can wiggle your fingers and your toes, sort of come back. And coming back into the Zoom room with us. So for our first prompt today, I kind of wanted to do something related to my story last week. Austin, would you mind allowing me to share screen?
How do I do that?
Oh,
I
I think
just
Val
made
did
it.
it.
Oh, okay, cool, cool.
Yes. So for our first generative practice, I wanted to think about making the figurative literal. So my short story last week that I shared called Optimize Optical, one of the things that I was thinking about before I wrote it was the term rose-colored glasses. And then I was thinking about the expression that when you're wearing rose-colored glasses, red flags just look like flags. And I really love that that saying. And so I kind of started with thinking about that. And in the story, of course, this woman who is grieving her husband actually gets surgery on her eyes, and the red flags do look like flags or look like good things to her. So I kind of was working on taking this really figurative term or phrase and making it literal. So I thought it'd be fun if we kind of did the same thing. So the first prompt is I'd like you to think of common idioms, figurative phrases, or metaphors. So some examples would be such as seeing the world through rose-colored lenses, raining cats and dogs, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, walking on eggshells. Can anybody think of any others that I just want to throw out there? You can put it in the chat if you don't want to say it out loud.
I just thought of a bolt from the blue.
Bolt from the blue.
Mm-hmm.
I
Something
don't even think I
surprising.
know that expression, but I
It's a
like
little,
it.
it's a little old-fashioned, I guess. Like something that happens suddenly or surprisingly, like a bolt of lightning from a blue sky.
Oh, okay. Yes, that would totally work. Bolt from the blue. Any other ones? Flying off the handle. Heart of gold. Great. Even like metaphors like she's a fox would work. So anything that's kind of just like a figurative language. Um, so I'm going to give you a couple minutes to, or probably actually just 1 minute, because it shouldn't take that long, to think of some common idioms, metaphors, proverbs. You can think of ones that maybe you really like, some that you really hate and like totally disagree with. I think the more passionate you feel, whether it's love or hate, the better for this exercise. And just try to write out like 3 to 5 or more of them. So I'll just set like 2 minutes, I think, for that. Okay, and that's 2 minutes. Does anybody think of ones that they really like or like feel strongly about?
They told me I'm not supposed to talk on the train, but break a leg.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Because of what we're talking about, when I wrote "He's a real workhorse," it made me start laughing out loud because I like immediately imagined an office with a horse in it. Anyway.
Right. Since you know where this is going, like I think I was like thinking of Halloweenish ones. I was thinking of like Speak of the Devil. Like um okay, so next choose one of these to work with. So you can use any on the page or any that like anybody has mentioned. Um oh, making mountains out of molehills, happy as a clam. Both are great. So yeah, so just pick one that I would say you feel the most strongly about? And then from there, think, oh, got another one in the chat. Out of the blue. Great. I think I wrote that one down too. Once in a blue moon. Yeah. Flying off the handle. Great. Katie barred the door. I don't think I know that one. Or maybe just bar the door, or okay. Well, yeah, these are all great. So next you'll think of a situation in which you would use that phrase. So for example, when we're around an explosive person, explosive would also be another great example of figurative language. We might walk on eggshells. So I'll give you a couple minutes to think about that. So thinking about the phrase that you picked, what would be some situations where you would use that phrase? Okay, and then from there, if you guys all have your idiom and your situation, we are going to write a scene in which that figurative expression becomes literal. So, for example, if it was walking on eggshells around like a super angry person, I would be thinking of a situation in which someone would actually be walking on eggshells. So, like, kind of setting that up. Why are there eggshells in the room? How can I make this actually literal? Um, so, I will give you, let's say, 15 minutes to work on kind of writing this scene out. And then we can check in. And if anybody wants to share, I'll give a chance for that. Okay, starting the timer now. I have about 2.5 minutes left. Okay, you can just finish up whatever sentence you're working on. Did anybody start something that they really like or kind of get into a scenario that they enjoy?
I don't usually write fiction, so I was excited to do this tonight. It's a good challenge for me. Um, and I realized, I mean, I started in a place where I probably need another 2 hours to keep writing to get to the heart of the story that I was trying to tell. But I am excited about this. It's interesting to have an image or scenario in mind and be working toward that. Um, as somebody who doesn't write fiction, I don't know, that's not usually my starting point, and it's kind of exciting to have that as a starting point. So thank you.
Yeah, it's kind of a fun crossover from poetry since we're like using figurative language, but sort of in a new way.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed while I was doing this, because I noticed last week, Kasia, you have such a voice for humor on the page, which I find so difficult. But starting with something figurative and intentionally twisting the figurative really made me feel freer to be funny and to like wink, wink, nudge, nudge a little bit more and have a little more fun. I don't know, it was just cool.
Yeah, like I feel like sometimes when you're just writing realism, it's hard to like incorporate that. But when you're like, well, things are weird anyways, so like there's like more to play with.
Yeah, it was like, isn't this a little funny already? Like, why would I take it
Right.
seriously? I can have fun with this. Yeah, and I love the voice. It's a voice that I normally have a lot of trouble.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I took on happy as a clam because that has
Okay.
always mystified me. And this is probably nothing like what you expected. It's just, I wrote down reasons why if I were a clam, I would be happy. And
Love it.
and so again, it may not fit the exercise, but I wrote down, I am the clam abandoned by the tide, but tossed back by a beachcomber. I am the
Wow, that's beautiful.
I am the clam that the otter doesn't see among the kelp blades. I am the clam the seagull bypasses for a French fry. I am the clam who lives long enough to feel fresh water or salt water return to natural temperatures. I am the clam too imperfect for a gourmet stew. And I am the clam alert enough to squiggle into the shoreline out of harm's way. And
Wow.
that's why I think a clam would be happy. But anyway, again, it's not quite where you probably were thinking we would
Oh
go,
no.
and maybe others had a more direct direction.
Yeah,
But
I love the direction that you took it. That's really cool. Are you usually a poet?
no, I did take the other classes, and um, people have occasionally admired things I have written, but no, I'm not a professional writer. It's strictly personal, and I'd put my camera on, except I'm still in my pajamas. So
No worries.
yeah, I know it was just one of those days I could do it. But anyway, I just had some fun with that, and I always thought that that was kind of a. Apparently, the phrase is actually happy as a clam at high tide.
Oh, I didn't know that because I feel like people always
Yeah,
just say happy as a clam.
yes. So that makes a lot more sense than just a clam with a smile.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that was fun.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
Would anybody else like to share a piece of theirs or anything? No pressure. No. Okay. For our second generative exercise, I kind of wanted to do something that is a little Halloweeny, but it's also kind of in the realm of speculative fiction. Um, I'm going to share a scene that I wrote that's sort of going to be related to this exercise. Um, the I wrote this a little while ago and I submitted it, but it hasn't really quite found its home yet. Um, but I'm just going to sort of share just the first part of it to kind of give a little bit of a segue into what we're going to work on. Um, the first therapist Viv and Theo try has a head of snakes she keeps wrapped in a turban. Viv just knows Theo is going to say something offensive, like you don't have to wear your hair covered like that. It's 2024, as if telling women what to do with their head of snakes is somehow feminism. Theo has recently begun calling himself a woke ally, even though he voted against women's suffrage in 1920. Tell me how you met, the therapist asks, crossing her leg. Was it an instant connection? Not really, Viv says. That hurts, Theo says. What do you want me to say? I was given to him along with my father's land. How long have you been together? The therapist asks. 256 years, Theo says. But who's counting? Viv says, throwing her hands into the air. Do you see what I mean? Theo says, pointing to his wife. She turns everything I say into some deeper meaning. The therapist jots in her notebook. Atop her head, the snakes shift with a hiss. You know, Theo says, you don't need to cover your hair if you don't want to. Has it always been like this? The therapist asks, ignoring him. No, Viv and Theo say together, a therapy win. Things were better before the transformation, Viv says. Tell me about the transformation, the therapist says. She blames me for the vampirism. I'm just saying, if you had a little bit more common sense when it comes to strange counts inviting you into their castle, none of this would have happened. Theo points at Viv. She asks me to bite her, okay? I didn't want to do it, but she said if I was going to live forever, she wanted to live forever too. Is that true? The therapist asks. Yes, Viv says. but I was only 16 and had never left my village. I didn't know what I wanted. Do you think I wanted to live forever? Theo returns. The therapist nods. This is good, she says. We're making progress. A head writhes its way from the fabric. Viv and Theo look away. They will not be another couple that lets therapy turn them into stone. After the session, the therapist pulls Viv aside. I suggest you just use a silver sword to decapitate him, she says. Do you need me to write you a recommendation? Okay, so that's gonna lead into our next exercise, which is infusing the strange and supernatural into real world situations. So for this exercise, we're going to kind of blend a little bit of realism and using the supernatural. I have a shot here from What We Do in the Shadows, since it's about vampires who live in New Zealand. So it's kind of that's the exact situation. Um, so for the first part, I would like you to decide if you would like to have two realistic characters in a supernatural situation or two supernatural characters in a realistic situation. So like in the scene I just wrote, or scene I just read, it's two vampires getting couples therapy from Medusa. So in that case, it's two supernatural characters in a realistic situation. So kind of decide which approach you would like to go. And then next, you're going to either write out a list of realistic situations or realistic characters. So it could be something like doing your taxes, grocery shopping. Um, Characters are just sort of real people. So your elementary school teacher or mailman, anything like that. And I'll just give you a couple minutes to think of that. And so third, you'll choose a situation and character combination. So, and write out a scene with these characters interacting in the situation. So, for now, you can just concentrate on dialogue and things they might react to, or you can sort of write a whole scene. But for example, like what might two ghosts in the back of a taxi have to argue about? So kind of deciding if you want to have the two supernatural characters in sort of a realistic situation or vice versa. And I'll set the timer for, we'll do a 10 minutes just to leave like 5 minutes for any questions or if for anybody wants to share. Take another minute. Oh, no problem, Emily. Okay. Everyone can just wrap up. Does anybody want to share? Did you have fun with that one, or was it kind of tough? Fun? Okay, good.
Little tougher, but fun.
Good. What was tough about it?
Yeah. I thought it was fun only because I went off on probably another tangent, which is very short, because it took me quite a while to figure a scenario which way I wanted to do. But I have Elvis and Michael Jackson,
Oh,
and
fun.
since it said primarily think about conversation, I believe you mentioned dialogue. I just wrote, Elvis, you aren't leaving the premises yet. I haven't done my moonwalk. Listen, Jacko, there's nothing your feet can do that my hips haven't already done. So get a life, which is a little ironic since we're both dead icons fighting for the limelight in this haunted video. Yeah, well, AI is making sure we live forever. It will even resurrect our fabulous fans. This isn't how I wanted to live forever, though. Tell you what, Mr. Graceland, come back in. You show me how to impress the ladies in your blue suede shoes, and I'll let you swivel in Thriller. This is still better than being forgotten. So,
Oh, that's so fun. Did you have fun writing that?
yeah, I did. I was trying to bring in different references to their work and, just the fact
It's
with, you know,
kind of like
just
what Austin was saying with the other exercise too. Like with this one, it kind of makes it easy to add humor in when you're like, I'm already being
right.
silly. Like,
Right, because it is kind of fantastical, situations you proposed. So
yeah.
that was, yeah. So that was fun trying to bring together two realism and supernatural or unrealism.
Well, thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
Would anybody else like to share?
I won't read mine, but I'll tell you, I did a supernatural flight school where a sphinx is bullying Bellerophon, the rider of the Pegasus, for having a flight license. Anyway, I
Love
could just, the
it.
humor was so easy to bring in. It was a lot of fun.
Something as everyday as bullying. Like still happening in the supernatural world.
Even gods get bullied. Exactly.
Even gods. None of us are safe. Anybody else? I kind of just started with one scenario, but it just kind of took me into like an idea that I liked. So I was like, okay, I'll play with that later. So it wasn't really exactly what I set out to write, but it gave me some ideas. And I hope it did the same for everybody else. Good. Well, that's all I have to share today. Did anybody have any questions or anything? No. Well, hey, thank you, everybody. It's been
Thank
so
you,
much
Yeah.
Kasia.
fun.
This
Thank you
has
very
been so
much.
nice, and I really had a lot of fun, and I'm sure everyone else did too. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you
Yeah,
so
thank you so
much.
much for having me.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. And yeah, Kasia, I'm totally going to use these in my fiction classes.
Oh,
So
perfect.
yeah,
And
make
we'll
have that
see you
It's
fiction.
all
a lot of
back.
fun.
We'll see you all back on November 20th. Can't wait.
Okay.
Take
Bye,
care.
Very good.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a
Hi.
great night. Thanks for being here, Jazzy. Oh, I don't think I got her, but she